Hey, 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 it's Ronai, and I'm here with Shannon, and here we are for another Be the Light. So, Shannon, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. I am doing good. Can I just take a moment to point out, I would like everybody to know it is February in Minnesota, and this is what we call natural light. We have some. It is 4 o'clock in the daytime, and I haven't had to turn my light bulb on all day.
That is actually, yes, it's a beautiful thing. I love that the days are getting longer. It's warm outside. I'm in between, like, do I go and tap the trees? Do I not tap the trees? So that's like the big question right now with all the maple syrup people is we have this like week and a half maybe where it's above freezing and then below freezing, which is what you need. You need above freezing temps and below freezing temps. But I looked at the 15-day forecast and then it goes into below freezing for several days in a row. So I'm like, I'm gonna hold off and not tap my trees yet.
Yeah, statistically, February is our coldest month each year.
Yes. The last couple of years though, like
I
2
know.
years ago, I tapped January 31st. Like it's crazy
Yeah,
what has been happening. This is the first year we've had a really good deep freeze in a couple of years.
I
Um,
know.
January we had that good below like negative temperatures, and that's going to be really good for my trees. It's crazy as I've started doing more and more homesteading. I'm like, here in Minnesota, we need that deep freeze for all of our trees. Like last year, there was,
Yeah. They were confused all year.
yeah, I didn't get any apples or we have a flowering cherry, but it's just one of those ornamentals where they flower,
Yeah, the cherry blossoms. Yeah.
and it didn't last year.
Yeah, it's the trees need that reset. And I've been joking because we were looking at getting another property somewhere south because we're like, oh, we need to go somewhere warmer, less snow. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think southern states have gotten more snow than us in the last couple of years. I'm like, if we just stay in Minnesota long enough, like this is going to become the retirement state because it's going to be the warm, less snow than in North Carolina. And so it's a little bit crazy, the weather patterns.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, God knows what's going on, so we just need to catch up, I think.
I just love this time when the sun's out longer. I was just get so excited. It changes your whole energy, your whole mood. That sunlight, if you're in a winter state or in any state where you don't get a lot of sun during the winter, by the time this time of year rolls around, you're just like craving it. You're sad. You're
Yeah.
just like craving it. So
Yes, I'm right there with you. And yeah, I have a window right in front of me, and I'm just loving that it is still sunny, and my chickens are loving it. So, yeah,
yeah.
all the
And
good.
then like to your point, you're like, it's warm out. It's like I mean, it's like 30s. And we weren't wearing jackets yesterday. We're like, oh, it's so nice out. Who needs a jacket in 30-degree weather? And
I just threw a flannel over this and went shopping. And I've
yeah,
got my friends out in California who are like, when it's 60, it's so cold. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's 23 degrees today. Or like today, I think our high was like 32 or 30. No, when I went out earlier, it was 39 degrees because I remember my car dinged at me. So
yeah,
yeah, it's 40, feels like 39, and it feels amazing. So isn't
yeah.
that funny how perspective is just a wonderful thing. Now in the fall, when it starts to cool down to 40, we're like, oh my gosh, it's cold. But now we're like, okay, like this is almost it. If it warms up to 50, that's sun tanning weather.
Yeah, it's amazing perspective and it's amazing adaptability, like how your body adapts. You can, talk to someone who lives in Florida and they're cold. This is winter weather for them, and we're excited. And your body has adapted to where this feels warm to us coming out of winter and yet freezing to someone else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it is February 11th, and this weekend is Valentine's Day, and there's been a lot of talk about love. So I was thinking maybe we would talk about love today. More specifically, just because I have some really good notes from a sermon that I was on First Corinthians 13. I
mm,
kind of talked about it. I did a live, but I thought maybe we could go a little deeper into that First Corinthians 13 if you're down.
sure. I watched your live on it. So, let's kick it off.
Well, I think it actually starts best if you look at 1 Corinthians 12:31, where Paul is talking to the early church, and he says, "But earnestly desire the greater gifts, and I show." Wow, I'm my everything's flipping. And I show you a still more excellent way. So, showing you a more excellent way. So, he's talking to the church where a lot of times people take this, love is patient, love is kind, it is not jealous, it does not brag, it's not arrogant. And they use this for their wedding vows or to put it up on the wall, and it's really cool stuff. But here he was talking to a church who was not following Christ's teachings. And
Yeah.
looking at that through that lens gave it a totally different perspective if we're talking about perspectives like today, right? So this church was struggling, it was selfish, they were prideful, and Paul's like, I'm going to show you a better way. Like, stop it.
Yeah. This is the scolding, not a little bit. This isn't, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's kind of cool when you look at that and how it's this agape love, where so often these verses are used for that eros love, that passionate love. But this is
Yeah.
that Christ-like love. He's saying, no, like you need to apply this in a different way. You need to um not be puffed up, right? And I just thought it was really kind of cool.
And it's reflective of love in general. I mean, so often because you see it used at weddings, and like you said, the big pictures that hang above your bed, and we think of it in terms of spousal love. Like we think of it in terms of that type of love, and not necessarily love of your spouse, love of your children, love of your neighbor, love of strangers, love of people you disagree with, love of people you don't even know, love to all mankind in or out of the body of Christ.
Yes. And that in our nation, in our state,
Yeah.
especially here in Minnesota, we need more of that. I just
Yeah.
had somebody stop by to pick up some eggs, and I love her. We had this great conversation, and we're not on the same side of the fence for some things. We are for some others, and we were able to talk about it, have a really nice conversation where I was able to look at her points, she was able to look at mine, and we both walked away going, sweet, we're still friends, instead of
Yeah.
this cancel culture. And I think that so often we need more of that in in everything that we do.
Well, and I think the difference is when you talk about that conversation, that was two people coming together and saying, this is how I feel about it. This is how I feel about it. Not in an attempt to convince or change one another, but just sharing in friendship and being accepting of, because, the important part was you didn't follow up by saying, well, and then after I told her what I thought, and she told me what, then we talked about why we should think like each other. Like it was just we are created different, we think different, we feel different, and we're allowed to be that way and be respectful of one another.
Yeah, it was really nice, and I just feel like we need more of that
Yeah.
in in
Well, you saw my post, so
yes.
uh
You can talk about that post. That was actually off of somebody else's post.
yeah, so somebody had just posted something about the Super Bowl halftime show and that people should just stop talking about it. And that's what his thought was on it. And I just commented that that's my thought on a lot of things these days, that we should maybe put that into practice when it comes to a lot of things
No,
that
he used a little bit stronger language than we want to
yes.
mention here, which is why it was pretty funny. But yeah,
Yes.
we want to make sure that we can listen, hear other people, help them feel seen and heard, but we don't have to agree with them,
Yeah.
right?
And we don't have to necessarily talk about it. if you vehemently disagree with somebody and you already know you are on way opposite sides, and talking tends to just be inflammatory. I mean, there's this whole great thing we're talking about in First Corinthians about how you can just love, love from the sidelines, love from the, and, be patient, be kind, be all the things and let God do God's thing. Like it is not, can I just say, if we was to have church for a minute, you can give me some amens and hallelujahs, Renee, if you want as we go along, but it is not our job to convince other people of what they need to think, feel, or believe. That is outside the scope of what we can control. Can we share our opinions? Yes. But if you want change to happen within somebody after you share your opinion, bring it to God. Because that who has the power, that's who has that power to bring about that change.
Yes, and I will say amen to all of that.
Yeah.
And that's the I think that's what's going on in the world. Sorry, I feel like just I think that's what's going on in the world today is we try to prove our point. We try to shove it down other people's throats rather than going, "Huh, okay, well that's your opinion. Okay. I don't have to
Yeah.
live into that. I don't have to accept that. And I get to have my own opinions."
Yep.
I I know, shocker, right?
I mean, and can you honestly, so I mean, here's the other thing I like to keep in mind, especially with young people these days, is yeah, I felt really different at 20 and had a lot of different opinions at 20 before I was married, before I was established, before I had kids, before I like really was living in real life and had, I felt a lot different about things than I do now. Like you change and grow and evolve, like
Do
just
you
allow
know
space.
do you know that I was a perfect parent
Were
before I
you?
had children?
Do you have like awards and stuff?
No, I was a perfect parent before I had children.
Oh, yes. Weren't we all?
I, oh, and so many opinions, and I was never going to drive a minivan. I still have
Yeah,
a minivan. Can I tell you, a minivan is like the greatest vehicle ever for all sorts of things.
my favorite. Yep, me too. Me too. My youngest is 18 and yep.
My youngest is 24.
It is like a truck. It's like
Yes,
everything all in one.
I got the stow and go seats, so like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. Um, but it's amazing all of the opinions and all of the things and we're so sure we're so right of and there are so many statements that I can look back in my past and go, huh, I really shouldn't have said that because I don't feel that same way now,
Yeah.
right? And that's the other thing is God allows us to grow and to mature and I'm so appreciative of that and he is so patient and so kind. You want to talk about like we just go through he's not jealous. Although God is a jealous God, so but I think
But
it's
not in the
different.
way.
It's a
Yeah.
different way, right? Um so I just love that he is so merciful and so kind that he can forgive us if we ask for that forgiveness for the stupidity of our past and
Yeah.
allow us to step into who we are and who we're growing in him to be. And I think
Yeah.
that that is a beautiful thing. There were some questions. So I did ask this and so one of the questions is do people feel loved when they interact with you or do they feel evaluated, corrected or patronized? And I asked this on my live, and somebody was like, well, it's all about your perspective, right? Isn't that? Yes, but there's also that part where it's like, but how am I perceived, right? If you're
Right.
perceiving me from this lens, I want to know that. Like, if you're feeling evaluated or judged by me, let's have a conversation about that so that I can learn and grow as a person or explain my intentions. Because so often our intention is not my maximizer. Okay, so let's pull this into strengths again, right? So I have maximizer at 13, which 13 is that's about where I go, and then start after that it starts to go meh. I mean, those are things I can do, but my top 13 are the strengths where like I'm still energized and I work in that. And so often my husband feels judged while driving, and here's why. I argue with the GPS. I'm like, it would be faster if we go this way. It would be, and he finally was like, what strength of yours is it that always makes you have to like find the fastest, most efficient route? Because sometimes he's like, sometimes I just want to drive and have it can be a longer route. And I was like, it's my maximizer. So he feels judged because my maximizer takes something that's good and wants to make it superb, right?
Yeah.
So if you have maximizer high, people can often feel judged by you. And so you have to go, oh, no, no, no. My intent was just to like find a better, faster route or to make this just a little bit better. And it's not like I'm judging you. It's literally part of me that just wants to make stuff a little better.
Right, because isn't that a great point in terms of, and I was going to say this in perspective, because you naturally want to go the fastest, like we're going to go A to B as the crow flies or as close as we can. Whereas somebody else might be like, I hate those routes. I stay off the highway as often as possible. Or my husband is one where, so sometimes, right, when you put it in your GPS, it gets you there 10 minutes faster, but you have to make 52 more turns. And my husband's like, yeah, it might take me 10 minutes longer, but I make like two turns, like two roads to get there. And like that's his thing, right? To him, the most direct route is the one that requires the least amount of zigzagging here, there, and the other. And so I think when you ask somebody, like, how do you perceive me? How do I come off? It can be perspective because who they are is going to determine how they're perceiving, what you say. My favorite is, so here's like my favorite on perception is, do you see those things on Facebook where people put like 2 plus 2 times 4 divided by 6 equals what? And you see like 14 different answers, and that's supposed to be like, there's mathematical rules. And so then you get all these arguments on what the answer is because, there's old math, there's new math, there's whatever. You still should get the same answer, but nobody does. So even in what seems like the most concrete of things, you can have completely different perspectives depending on how your brain, your heart processes and perceives things.
Right. But even in that question, there's a way, like, I understand where she was coming from, saying, well, it depends on your perspective or your perception. Okay. But you can
Yeah.
also look at it and just kind of answer it simply. More often than not, I feel loved, or more often than not, I feel judged. And then, like I said, it opens up to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Um, and me, from my side, if I'm asking that question, it's because I truly do want to grow and I want to know, like, if I'm coming off as judgmental, I need to know that so that I can work that out within myself. Not to blame you, not to be like, well,
Right.
you shouldn't feel that way. No, if you feel that way, we can't help how we feel. We help how we react. And
Yeah.
so there are times when I've asked people certain things and they've answered me honestly, and it was not the way that I thought it would go. And I'm like, oh, okay, I asked that question. Now, how am I going to react to that? And how can I work within my strengths? Because you don't have to change because somebody else feels a specific way. But if I'm trying to have people feel Christ-like love from me, then there are times that I will need to change.
I don't think you have to necessarily change because my thought process is when you change to meet that one person, like let's talk about posting because we're talking about something on Facebook that you talked about. So if you were to post something on Facebook, the person who comes at you and says this makes me feel judged and da, 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 you change it up the next day, and the person who got it the day before might now be the person who feels judged. So I think I think there are times. I think it's really important one, that we do have to go to God and be like, is this me? Correct me if I'm coming across, like, correct me. I want to be, whether everybody gets it or not, I want to make sure I'm coming across the way you want me to come across. But then I think the other piece is you can have a conversation without changes. So, like the gal I work with, who I'm business partners with, we are complete opposites. And she is very short to the point, capital letters, like that's how she communicates. And so, me, I'm a little more touchy-feely. I'm like, I used to be like, oh my gosh, she's like yelling at me. She's mad at me. She's like, what is the thing? So now there's a give and take in relationships, right? So it's like it could have been my expectation or her expectation that she has to change and be somebody different to make sure that I get her communication. Or it could be the expectation of I just need to understand that's who she is and how she communicates and not make it about me. I think more commonly, there has to be a meeting in the middle of, oh, Shannon's somebody I care about. So I'm going to be a little more aware of this isn't her communication style. And I have to be a little more, oh, I have to be aware of this is just her communication style. This isn't her trying to be anything towards me. This is her. She got other things to do. She does not have time to do lowercase and uppercase and periods and full words. Like this is her brain has already moved on to the next important thing.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't mean I had to change, but adjust, if that's, I'm trying to find the right word for it. Uh, so often, a great example. Before I knew my husband's strengths and that he is a five executing, four strategic thinker, and I'm a five relationship builder, three influencer, before I understood that about each of us, I was speaking to him the wrong way, in a way
Right.
that he felt judged, he felt like he was never good enough. And by understanding our strengths, we were able to come together with a common language. And now I'm like, oh, you're taking your time. You want to take the slower road because that's just working in your strengths. Where he's like, oh, you're not judging me. You're just trying to move people along
Mhm.
quicker because, again, you're working in your strengths. But bringing that back to the Bible and to First Corinthians is making sure that I am being patient and kind, even though sometimes patience is I have adaptability or well, adaptability, but I have activator at number 5. I am often
Yeah.
impatient, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody's feeling judged, I can be like, oh, I need to slow it down a little bit because maybe their strengths are in those strategic thinking, executing, kind of slower, making sure it's done the right way. And so that hopefully I'm making sense now because
Yeah.
it's
I
not me
think
changing, it's me being more accepting of other how other people are working and being aware that my pushing or trying to maximize things isn't necessarily what that person needs to grow.
right. I think there's so this is interesting because I was just actually having this conversation with somebody else. I think there's the balance between I feel argumentative today. What is happening with me, Ronai? I feel like apparently I'm like so I think there's a balance between like you're talking and I think this is why we're coming from different perspectives a little bit because you're talking like one-on-one relational, like here's where and I'm talking more like you put a talk out on Facebook and you're potentially talking to a group of people and are going to get a group of different answers. So, how do you navigate not because you can't be everything to everyone in that group dynamic? I absolutely agree with you. One on one relational, you have to sit back and look at who is that person, who am I, and how do we both adjust accordingly in our strengths.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
you and I both have woo high, and woo is
Yeah,
winning
yours
others
is higher
over.
than mine. Mine's number
Yeah,
10.
mine's number 1.
Yeah, yours
So,
is way higher than mine.
um, so woo is winning others over. We like to win others over. We want to become friends, but you are also relator.
Yeah, that's my number
So
2.
you want to go deep. I have inviter at
Yeah,
number 8 or 9. And so I want to woo all the people, and you're like, nope, I just want to go deep with a couple people, right?
yeah,
That being said, it's funny that you and I are reversed on what we're talking about here with the Facebook post, because that's with like lots of people, and I'm talking about like just individuals. Now, all that to say, if you have more of a Christ-like love, you're going to listen twice as much as you speak.
amen.
And we don't have to be accepting of things that go against our values. Because you have belief high, right? I have belief at like number,
I'm 13, yeah.
I have belief at number 7. So, um, when you have belief that high, it's like, no, these are my values. This is very strong for me. Now, if somebody comes and they're telling me something that's against my beliefs or my values, I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to tell them they're wrong necessarily. Sometimes I might,
Right.
but this is where I had a point and I'm trying to get to it and I'm not quite sure what it is anymore. What I'm
Is
saying
this
is,
where we take like a station break where the little rainbow things come up and we just regroup our thought process?
yes. Well, because part of it is, when we're talking about this, love isn't just a feeling, it's an action, right? So we can love people, but we don't have to be accepting of bad behavior.
Love is a choice.
Yeah. And we can have that Christ-like love for all, but I'm still not going to be like, yes, I think that all of these things that you're putting out there, just to like hit a really hot button right now, there are two sexes. You're born male or
Yeah.
you're born female. And I saw this reel where somebody was like, yeah, so I took all day and I made brownies today and I like to wear purple and pink and I that makes me a woman. And it was like, okay, you just totally stereotyped a woman by fashion choice and by hobbies. And if you're going to tell me that, I'm sorry. I can love you as a person. I can love you can love the person you can love the sinner but not the sin, right?
Right.
No, you're not going to prove to me that you're a woman because of your hobby choices and your color choices, right? I'm
Right.
so that's where I'm saying that's where it can start to get into those places where it's like, okay, maybe I just need to step back here and say, okay, agree to disagree, or let's have a conversation about something else.
Right. Because to your point, like you want to talk religion, politics, gender, like any of those, ice in, ice out, and we're all the things going on in the world right now that just seem to flare people up really quickly. Um, that's your point, is whether you agree or disagree, you have a choice in how you handle it. You do get to choose whether or not you're going to move forward in love and take actions and use words that represent the love that the Bible outlines. Paul is saying, hey, if you're going to open your mouth, here's how you should be doing it. You
Yes.
should be doing it in love. And love looks like patience. Love looks like kindness. Love is not prideful. Love is not boastful. Like if you're going to go there, you, the body of Christ, have a responsibility to go there in a biblical manner.
Yeah. I also think that so often Christians in the name of Christ are so super judgmental.
Mm.
And that is one of those things that gets hard to swallow also because Christ died for all of us. Even the people who are doing things that I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, right?
Yeah, and I think this is a great, I'm trying to remember if it's a Todd Agnew song. There is a song, I will find it for you, but there's a song, and I wanted to say it was Todd Agnew, but it is all about that. It's all about how within the Christian community, if Jesus was to walk into your church, would you even recognize him? Would you talk to him? Would you sit by him? Would you? And it kind of goes to that where as Christians, unfortunately, we can a lot of times, in the name of Christianity, lose sight of the fundamental parts of, faith and Jesus's teachings.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other points that came up in this was um with the boasting, don't boast, just show up and serve. Like that was a really good point I liked. Envy, resenting others' success and gifts is definitely envy, and envy just reveals insecurities. Like how
Yeah.
true is that? Um, and when you have agape love, you rejoice in truth, which I really love that. And then one of the best things coming out of this was put your name in the scripture. So instead of love is patient, love is kind, it's Ronai is patient, Ronai is kind, Ronai is not jealous, does not brag, is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly, does not seek her own, is not provoked. Now, I got to tell you, already just reading through this, there's several things I need to repent of.
I know Renee's like going, oh, that hurts a little bit. So I was thinking, yeah, that
Right.
makes a difference.
It does. I'm like, wow. By going through all of this, like what a beautiful way to start changing. And this is where I'm saying there is change that is necessary if you want to live in this. But
Yeah.
changing some things about myself so that I can say, oh, yes, I'm following that. And where you fall short, guess what?
Yeah.
Christ makes up for it, right?
And to really bring it to God. So it's so interesting because you were talking about envy and jealousy and insecurities. And I was just having this conversation yesterday because I'm struggling with a situation where I'm just like, and I have this jealousy and these resentments. And I know, and here's the problem is if you put it on paper in black and white, it's like justifiable. So when I talk to the wrong people, they're like, you should be really upset. You should be more upset than you are. You should be da da da. And it feeds into it. And I was having a conversation with one of my coaches yesterday, and I'm like, look, I need to talk this through with you, um, because this is a me thing. I'm like, this is a me thing. I said, this is coming from a place of insecurity, and I keep bringing it to God and trying to surrender it. But this is very much the enemy using this little feelings here that I'm fighting to just like fester. And I need to figure out how I can better deal with it. I pray about it. One of the things I do always is when I go there, I just start praying for the person. Whoever I feel those icky feelings towards, I just start praying for them. And which is good, but for this reason, for this thing, I've just been having the hardest time letting go of it. And so I think you have to be open to recognizing those things in yourself and recognizing what the root of it is, even if the circumstances are justifiable. I
Yeah.
could very easily keep pointing fingers, but I know that that's not the root of it.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, there's so much depth to this one little part of the Bible. You could literally, I think there's actually whole Bible studies
Yeah.
just on this one chapter of the Bible, much less book of the Bible.
Yeah. It's so like it's so beautiful. And again, putting yourself in this and then realizing that this was about a church that was struggling, right?
Yeah.
So this is about people that are struggling, and this is the way that you can overcome that. Then Pastor Scott gave us 4 questions to ask ourselves. So I'm gonna pull those questions up. Where has love grown cold in my life? Right? So this could be your romantic love, but more often this is that agape love, that Christ-like love. Where are we not as warm as we would like to be? I've got some relationships within my own family that I'm like, oh, like there's some things that I'd love to clean up and to improve and just have that better love, right? Am I more passionate about being right or being loving? Right now, there's a lot of people who are like, I just want to be right. Okay, well, you can be right and alone, or you can be loving and with people that you don't necessarily agree with, but like let's see how we can have a better conversation. Who do I need to extend grace to this week?
Like everybody, that's the answer. Everybody.
And yourself.
Yeah.
So often we extend grace to everyone except ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And God extends grace to all of it, all of us. What would change if I loved like Christ loved me?
I don't even think so. I could be wrong. People can correct me on this if you feel differently. For me, I don't even think that's something that is even really fathomable because we are so incapable of that on a regular enough basis that we could really grasp the impact it would have.
Well,
We're
yeah,
so human, you know what I mean? Like,
yes, yes. But if we even take a fraction of
yeah,
that, like what would change if we took a fraction of loving people like Christ loved us, right? Just a fraction of that Christ-like love. It would
yeah,
change the world. If everybody did that,
yeah, absolutely.
um, one of the things I love with doTERRA is doTERRA has the Healing Hands Foundation, and 100% of your donation goes to these amazing causes, helping when there's an earthquake or helping get clean water to different places. Like it's so beautiful. Like 100% of your money goes there. And doTERRA does over, and these numbers are from a couple years ago because I haven't looked at the numbers now, but it was like 300,000 orders a month, right?
Yeah.
And if everybody donated $1, how that can change so many things, right? So this is kind of that same concept. If you took 1% of that Christ-like love and started applying it toward other people, how would that change?
And not just the easy people.
And it's especially not the easy people. So I started doing where is it? Oh, I don't have it here. I have it upstairs. So I started doing the Bible in 52 weeks. So this is
Hmm.
really, and the, the first week was already hard because it was talking about love. And those people like, where can you show love to someone who doesn't deserve it? And they had you write names down, and I was like, well, now you're just stretching me, right?
Baby steps.
So I am in no way, shape, or form the best example of all this stuff, but I am trying, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to try because we are never going to be perfect. Like we can't be. It's just not even possible.
Yep.
But we can always be working toward that agape love, that Christ-like love, and applying it toward people who we love and people who frustrate us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With a focus, I mean, it's so much easier when you are in agreement with somebody or when you love somebody. I mean, well, that's not true, actually. Sometimes the people you love can be the hardest people if you're in disagreement with them. Because you tend to, I mean, I think of this in a mother-child relationship. If it's something that makes you fearful or concerned or, whatever, it's hard to not get so emotional in your love that it comes off not at all like love. You
I'm
tend to
only,
get angry.
I'm only laughing because my youngest, who is very fun, just chose to get a tattoo along his skull. And I'm
Ouch.
like, and and he's so funny because I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, he's gonna make the choices he's going to make.
Right,
And he walks in, he's like, Mom's so proud of me. You're like putting judgment from me on him. And I'm like, you know what? That's a choice that you made. Is it a choice I would make? No.
right.
Did you just suffer through a really painful tattoo? Yes, because
Yeah.
and I have a few tattoos and anytime it's on the bone, that is the word. I cannot imagine. And for the most part, when his hair grows in, you're not going to see it. So it's just whenever he chooses to shave, except for he
Right.
went like right where it just comes out
A little bit.
a little bit. And I'm like, just like the same thing, he's got a little bit that comes up on his neck, so it's not covered with. That's his choice. Would I make that choice for him? No.
Right.
But it's not my job to judge him. It's my job to love him. And I think I'm realizing now that's what I need to tell him because he's putting words in my mouth that aren't there.
Yeah. The only thing I can think, like you said that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, did he get like the worst headache ever? Like, I feel like you would just have, I'm like, did he bring his essential oils to try and help keep everything calm? Like, oh my God, I feel like I would just have a migraine after that. But
I'm hoping he made some of those choices, but he didn't ask me. Otherwise, I
yeah.
would have given him some really great options.
So is it like tribal
No,
type stuff or?
it's a pine branch and it kind of looks
Okay.
almost like a laurel leaf.
Okay.
Like think about the Greek laurel leaf type things. And it's very well done. It's pretty. It's just not something I would have chosen for him, but it's not my head. It's not my choice.
Yeah.
And I'm just realizing now what's been bugging me about the whole situation was the words he's putting in my mouth.
Right.
So this was really cool because now I can just go to him and be like, dude, I love you. Not a choice I'd have made for myself, but I'm
Yeah.
not
It's not
you.
my head. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And I know how much, like, you want a tattoo wherever there's fat? Awesome. Like, if
Yeah.
that's, but right on the bone, that just hurts, man.
Well, I always tell my kids because they're at the age of getting tattoos, and I just always tell them, I'm like, be careful what you get. So because I have multiple tattoos, I said, and there's not a one of them now, because I got them all when I was younger. I said, there's not a one of them that I wouldn't change. I'm not saying I regret them, but I would do the artwork differently. I said, there's not one of them that I wouldn't do completely differently than what I did when I was 18 and 20 and 24 and whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, so just keep in mind that who you are now is not who you will always be, and what you think is pretty now is not necessarily what you will always think
Yeah.
is pretty. So just put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. Well, there's one last thing I wanted to share, and I probably should have shared this to begin with, but I loved when Scott said this, without love, nothing else has eternal value. And that's where you get into um 1 Corinthians 13:13. But now faith, hope, and love abide these three, but the greatest of these is love. And that's the greatest thing that we can do is show love to I mean, there's no longer 10 commandments, people. There's two commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, might, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And within that, all the rest of the commandments fall in there. And so
Yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome that love is so incredibly important that it's been talked about multiple times in multiple ways.
I mean, it would change the world.
Yeah. That's why I was
And
saying
it's kind of,
that's why I say the Beatles have it right. All we need is
mm.
love, right? And
Well, and I like the comparison you did where it's kind of like the 1%. Like we're not going to be perfect. We're not even going to love everybody in our lives the right way, or we're not going to do it all the time. But if everybody just put in a little effort,
yeah,
you would still see big results.
absolutely.
And it's the age old. So it's funny because I'm watching, I think I told you this. I'm watching Touched by an Angel on Netflix, which is from the 90s. I thought it was from the late 80s, but it's from the early 90s. And it is amazing to me. One, because it's fun to see these celebrities who became big stars who were like, nobody's doing these little appearances on Touched by an Angel. But then every message, every situation is just applicable now as it was then 30 years ago.
I love it.
And and we all and what what captures me about that is the fact that how often do we talk about how I wish we could go back to a time when we were just a community and when we were this and when we were that and when we were, and I'm no different because I was like just graduating high school in the early 90s. And it's like, oh, I wish we could go back to whatever. And then I watched this show and it's like all the things that are still going on today. And it's like, why is it that my brain thinks that that was such a better time when all these issues, I mean, I got to thinking about it because there was one that was on race and, we just had all the BLM stuff and I was watching it on race and I was like, what was going on in the world that made this such a big thing? And I was like, Rodney King happened back there. And I'm like, so I'm watching it, I'm thinking it's so interesting how we long for this better time, but it's really the same age old things that just continue because humans are humans. We've always been humans, we'll always be humans.
Yeah.
So that little bit just goes a long way.
So my brain goes, okay, so how do we get back to that love?
Right, because what it proves to us is it's not a circumstance. It's not about what's going on in the world. Because what's going on in the world's always been going on in the world. It's about the condition of the human heart.
Yeah. So what is one thing I want you guys to think about this is what is one thing that you can do to show more love in your life? Just even 1%. 1% more love. 1% more accepting. 1% more kindness. My suggestion is to go back to First Corinthians and 13 and let Paul show you a more excellent way. Any parting words?
My challenge would just be if your first reaction is how you can do it for somebody else, then maybe you need to first focus on how you can do it for yourself. And if your first reaction is, how can I do this for myself? Maybe you should look at first, how can I do this for someone else? Like do the opposite of what would come natural to you.
Nice. I like that. I hope you guys have a beautiful, blessed day. Let us know how we can pray for you. And hopefully you feel just a little more love today. Bye.
Oh, bye everyone.